book lovers, Victoria here and you're watching My Books to Me. Today I'm going to be doing my May wrap up, and I seriously cannot believe, I'm pretty sure I said this in my May book haul, I seriously cannot believe that we are in June already. It is insane. I managed to read 5 books during the month, and for actually the most part of May I didn't think I'd be reading that many. 4 of the books that I read I actually read within the last week and a half. So let's get into the wrap up. I read this month was a graphic novel, and that is The Wicked and the Divine Volume 1, The Forced Act by Kieran Gillen, Jamie McCleave, Matthew Wilson and Clayton Cowles. This was actually really good. I talked about this in my May TBR, I think it was, or maybe it was my April wrap-up, I can't quite remember. But I said I was about halfway through and I was having a bit of difficulty with it. I ended up actually going back and rereading the first half again, I think because I just wasn't taking it in that well, and it just did help me understand it a little bit more, and it turned out to be an actual really interesting read. I ended up giving this, I think it was 3.5 or 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I still did have issues with it simply because I was lost for a lot of it. I felt like we were just thrown right into the story, and the characters were talking about other people and events that had happened within the actual story, not within the mythology of the characters, that we as a reader should have known, because I felt like we should have been witness to them, just the way they were talking about it. So I felt like there wasn't enough sort of character introduction and storyline introduction and development, just to help understand what was going on. I know a lot of people probably felt that way. I did see a lot of reviews on Goodreads where a lot of people were quite lost, but at the end it sort of all came together, and sort of after I finished it I was thinking about it, and I really just sort of began to understand a little bit better about what was going on in the story. And the ending of this book, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to pick up the second volume whenever I get around to it. It was amazing, so definitely go check this out. The second book I read this month was a children's book, and that was Winnie the Pooh and the Royal Birthday by Jane Riordan, and illustrated by people inspired obviously by the Winnie the Pooh stories by A.A. Milne, isn't it? Anyway, this book came out just at the end of June actually, and it's obviously in celebration of not only the Queen's 90th birthday but also the fact that Winnie the Pooh will be turning 90 in October. And so in the story, Pooh Bear, Piglet, Christopher Robin and Eeyore head off to London with a present for the Queen, and obviously on the way they have to, you know, try and work out the underground. They go on a tour bus and they get to see the sights of London, and they get to meet the Queen, and they get to meet Prince George. It is so fun and so heartwarming, and I really enjoyed it. It's been like forever since I've read a Winnie the Pooh story. I really enjoyed it. It was so nice just to be with these characters again and read a story about them, and it just really felt like kind of coming home to like the classic children's literature that we all know and love. You could be 3, you could be 103 and you will enjoy this. The book is actually free to download as an ebook. They have only released it as an ebook for now. It was free to download. I will leave a link to it in the description below. It's also narrated by, crap, I've forgotten his name. Oh my gosh, I forgot his name. The guy who played Slughorn in Harry Potter. I've forgotten his name. That guy. He narrated it. I couldn't actually listen to the narration, but I'm pretty sure other people have been able to, and it actually apparently sounds awesome, so definitely go check it out if you are a fan of Winnie the Pooh. Naturally, I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. The next book I finished this month was They Let Me Write a Book by Jamie Curry, aka Jamie's World, and this was really fun. Jamie is a Kiwi YouTuber, and she just makes really funny and relatable videos. She's just hilarious. I highly recommend you go check her out. I will actually link her channel below because she's really funny. And like most YouTuber books, this is essentially just her life growing up, finding YouTube, you know, getting started on YouTube, and how she's dealt with being internet famous and all stuff like that. I really enjoyed it. It's full of photos. There's whole sections. There's whole sections of photos. And she just talks about different aspects of her life and YouTube. Her parents even chime in and talk about things, and it's really interesting. It's definitely aimed at the audience of Jamie. It's definitely aimed at Jamie's audience. A few of the other YouTuber books that I've read, especially Binge and A Work in Progress, have been books that sort of anyone can pick up, whether you know the YouTuber or not. But I felt this one wasn't really one of those books. It's definitely, if you are a fan of Jamie, you pick up the book. And I found it really interesting. I learned a lot about Jamie, and I highly recommend it to anyone who is a fan of Jamie. If you aren't, go watch her videos. I ended up giving this a 3.5 out of 5 stars, maybe 4. I can't remember. But anyway, check it out if you like Jamie. The next book I read this month was another graphic novel, and that is Sex Criminals Volume 2, Two Worlds, One Cup by Matt Fraction and Chip Zdarsky. This was so fun. I loved the first volume, and this was just as good. The story was really interesting. I really enjoyed that we got to see the story from other characters' aspects. That was really intriguing. Again, this just really upped the fact that this is not for children in any sense of the word. It was just so good. The art style, again, yeah, I can show you that, is really, I just really like the art style in here. Chip Zdarsky is a wonderful illustrator, and I mean, it's so funny. I really enjoyed it. I really can't wait to see what happens in the 3rd volume, which is coming out at the end of June. Seriously, go pick this up. If you don't know what this is about these two people, Susie and John, who whenever they have sex, they can literally freeze time, and they've been using this power to rob banks. However, in this one, they find out that they're not the only ones who can do it. They found out, obviously, in the first one that they weren't the only ones because they were like sex police. But in this one, they realized that there are a lot more people who have this weird ability. So good. Can't wait to see where this goes. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Finally, the last book that I read this month, which I've only just finished, was Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I had to read this for university, and I'm now in the process of finalizing an essay regarding this, and it was so good. I was surprised how much I liked it. I just really enjoyed the story so much, and it was so easy to follow and understand. Like, obviously with classics they can be a bit hit and miss of how well you can understand them, but this one was really easy to follow. I actually ended up listening to the entire book on audiobook, which was actually like 21 hours long. It was insane. The narrator for the book was Emma Messenger, and she did a really good job. It was really good. The only thing that annoyed me was, so near the end we introduced to this character called St. John, who turns out to be a relation of Jane's. And because I wasn't reading along or anything, I was just listening, she kept narrating it as St. John, and I was like, that's a weird name. And then I opened the book when I was like putting my book back in to remember where I was up to, and St. John was there, and I was listening to it at that point, and I heard her say it as I read it, and I was like, what a weird way to say St. John. So anyway, that was just one thing I found, but I definitely recommend that audiobook if you are interested. Yeah. This is just really good. It's about Jane, and it's like an autobiography of Jane's life. Jane wasn't actually a real person, but it is an autobiography written from her perspective. It looks at her time as a child and growing up with her mean aunt, and then going off to boarding school where she stayed for 8 years. She was first a student, and then she was a teacher, and sort of the people she met there. And then she goes on to be a governess in Mr. Rochester's house, teaching this young Adele. She finds love, then she falls out of love, and then she ends up going to another town where she actually meets some relatives that she didn't know she had, and it's just a really lovely story. I highly recommend it. If you aren't really into classics, you haven't read many classics, I definitely think this is a really great start because it feels like a somewhat contemporary novel, and I just really enjoyed it. Enjoyed it so much. The only thing I noticed is that Charlotte Bronte used the word ejaculate quite a lot in here for how people were talking, and like used it way too many times within like a page. It was really weird, especially when you're listening to the audiobook and you're not following on, and all of a sudden the narrator is just saying ejaculated like 10 times in like the space of a paragraph. It was weird, but highly recommended. I can't wait to actually read some more Charlotte Bronte. I ended up giving these 4 out of 5 stars. So they're the 5 books, or really 4, obviously the 5th one was an ebook, that I read during the month of May. They were all really great books. I'm surprised because for the past couple of months I've had sort of iffy-ish books, but it was great to have all of these over 3.5 stars, which was so great. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books before and what you thought of them, and I will see you guys later on today with my June TBR, which can I just say is mammoth. So I'll see you guys then. Bye!